Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danik-Boy. Today on the program, Buhari overrules IG as police invites file examination fraud charge against Osun PDP's governorship candidate Ademola Adeleke. Rotimi Amechi, Senator Abe continue war of words as Abe says God, not Amechi, will decide Rivers' next governor. NLC mobilizes workers for strike over minimum wage impasse, and later on the show, in a dramatic twist, the federal government suspends Nigeria Air project. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Utitoju, Mojid Jamiu, and Sam Ibemere. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you. Good evening.
Journalist Hangout starts now. Now, the life of a typical Nigerian politician can be likened to that of a sprint hurdler who have to scale many hurdles to get victory. So it has been for the candidate of the PDP in the 2018 Osun governorship election, Senator Ademola Adeleke. The now famed dancing senator, or Ajobiewe as some call him, seems to have too many hurdles to scale in the run to the polls. While a court case relating to certificate scandal dangling over his neck like a sword of Damocles seemed over, a new threat emerged in the form of police invitation to answer charges of examination, fraud, and conspiracy. To this, Adeleke has been given a relief, albeit temporary. President Muhammadu Buhari has overruled the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, over the invitation. The president said that can wait till the electoral battle on Saturday is over. Judy, I start with you. The president has, sort of intervened, but it has come across to some as an action from a true statesman. Is that what it is for you?
Yes, I think once again the president did the right thing. This IG has a history of wanting to press the self-destruct button. Remember, a few days to the governorship election in Anambra, this IG withdrew the security aids of the governor. And the president had to intervene just the same way he did yesterday, by ordering him to restore the security aids of the Anambra governor. It was absolutely unnecessary to do that at the time. Not only is a governor blessed with immunity, the governor of a state deserves all the security that he can get. And if on the eve of an election you withdraw those guarding the governor, that means you are setting that governor up for a sucker punch. So in this case too, the president did the right thing, because the president was very embarrassed at what he did to the governor of Anambra, because the governor of Anambra is one of the governors who profess their respect for President Buhari, who show that respect for the world to see. And even before that election, he paid President Buhari a visit. It will have amounted to a stab in the back for someone who came to your office to show respect to you in a season when the governor of my adopted state routinely was disrespecting you. For you to allow the IG to withdraw the security men of such a governor. The governor of Anambra will have now asked himself that, is this man even deserving of the respect that I give him? So as the president, as an old man, a statesman, he did the right thing, and that's what he has done in this case. So there is no way that if you took Adeleke away 3 days to an election, you took him to Abuja to start answering this kind of charges. There's no way he will be able to campaign. And the last-minute campaigns are necessary. For politicians, 48 hours to an election and on election day are probably the most crucial period. The most crucial period. More crucial than the early days of campaigning, because that is when your true ability to organize is put to test. You can have so many people wanting to vote for you, but if you lack the organizational capacity to bring people out on election day. If your foot soldiers don't work hard, and you also must be constantly, you must constantly be in touch with them, giving them direction. If you don't do that, you are likely to lose the election. So the president felt, look, if we did this, people would think that, oh, this is APC clobbering the opposition, trying to ensure that they win the election by all means. And I think that shouldn't be happening in a democracy. So he did the right thing. They can pick him up after the election.
Mujid, do you share the same view with Jide as regards the president doing the right thing? Because some have said that there is an implication to this intervention by the president because of the case in question, a crime, and the fact that it could also have implications on the delivery of justice.
Yes, of course I agree with Jide. The president once again demonstrated the fact that when we have an IG of police who wants to replicate what Sunday Adewusi did during the Shagari era, then they have to be put to check. It's quite unfortunate that we have a situation where the PDP gubernatorial candidate, Senator Nuruddin Ademola Adeleke, have so many battles, so many hurdles to scale. But then this thing didn't just start yesterday. This incident happened in NECO exam 2017. More than a year had passed. And you can't just tell us now that you just came out with your investigation. Now, we should also not forget the fact that there are two cases here. The one with WAEC, which the court ordered WAEC to prove that he actually, and WAEC was able to tell us that yes, the character in question had F9, quote unquote, parallel in English. That's the only no, he was absent.
He was absent in other subjects, but he had F9. When you say parallel, you don't know how it is used. Yes. That means that person has F9. That's why you wrong-footed me.
Okay. Now, so that is WAEC. But the case in question here, because, people are quick to interpret that it's because he scaled that order that police is coming with. It's as if we have a police who is acting as an agent of the APC, which, that's the impression the president is trying to correct. But then to let our viewers understand what is actually happening. Fine, Adeleke, Nuruddin Adeleke, the dancing senator, quote unquote, in June 2017, registered as an internal student for the National Examinations Council exam, the one they call NECO. That's the alternate to WAEC. The police claim that the age he put was May 12, the date of birth was June 12, 1997, as his birth date. That puts him at 20 years then. Whereas the uniform, he now sold the uniform himself and another brother, I think Adetunji Adeleke. Their exam numbers were next to each other. And they found that in the school book, provided by the passport, there's a passport page that NECO normally provides for the schools, and they were next to each other. So that's the evidence that the police used in inviting him. They said, whereas in the form is submitted with the incident form he filled when he was invited by police, he gave his true age to read, I think, February 1960, which puts him at 58 years now. So they were talking about criminal conspiracy, breach of trust, and some other and aiding and abetting. Yes. The school principal or some other people were picked along. So now there is a case established against him, but then the timing, like Jide said, it could be misinterpreted. Because, but then some lawyers will tell you that whether it is now or later, a crime is
It's
a
a
crime.
crime.
It's
Yes,
proven by the police.
that's the next question I am
Yeah.
going to. That people are saying that a crime is a crime. Why now? And the police has come out to say that there is no time limit for the governorship candidates in Saturday's election as regards the matter, because the matter has been filed before the courts, and so he has to go before the courts to answer to his crime. Sam.
Absolutely true. There's no other option, to it. Agreed. The charges levied against him at the moment are basically allegations. But the fact also is that once the case is before the courts, he would have his day at the courts.
Yeah.
There are no options. The mistakes could have been made, but then I'm a strong believer in our institutions. Whether the arrest or the order to ask him over to Abuja, to answer to whatever allegations there are, have been made a day or 2 or 3 days before the election. What is of importance to me is that cases of this nature are subjected, to the trial of the courts, and then whatever comes out of it, we believe that our judicial system is beginning to, find its expression, or footing. So, yeah, that matter should go before the courts at the appropriate time. Just like has been said, after the election, he should have his day in the courts. What, again, would matter to Nigerians is the issue of diligent prosecution. We want to believe that the police has taken time to look at this case, to investigate it, so that we don't have the regular, claim of media trial that has been made against the police, over time. So we want to believe that the Nigerian police has taken this time to look at this case, so that it's foolproof, at the end of the day. But having said that, I have worries over the seeming, lack of synergy or coordination, if you like, at the presidency, if you permit.
How do you mean?
The last time I checked, the IG takes instructions from the president. My concern here is we seem to put the cart before the horse. I mean, if there were indications that such an operation was going to take place, why don't you sound out your superior, your boss, so that you don't have a case, like Jide has said, where you take an action, you embark on an operation, you come back, and then you're made to look very stupid. It's not the first time it's happening. It's not even the second time. So I'm worried. And then the issue is it that everybody's on his own as far as the presidency is concerned, or as far as the security operatives who, like I said the last time I checked, take instructions from Mr. President? I think Nigerians are worried.
The IG can't take every instruction from the president. If everyone that the president has appointed must clear with the president,
Why are they there?
Why are
They are
they
representative
there?
of
These
the-
are
they should be
clearly,
able to
this is
take
a routine,
initiative, yeah.
this is a routine issue. For example, knowing when to pick up someone.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the president to take permission to arrest someone. But you know that the elections are about 72 hours away, and you chose that time. So the timing is wrong. At the end of the day, the president...
implications on public peace.
Yes, and the president, that's why the president took that decision. He doesn't take... He's the Inspector General of Police. And I support those who even want an IG that will be independent of the presidency. So we can't encourage a situation in which the IG should always clear everything, because, I mean, then then it doesn't merit his position if you must clear with your boss. I'm sure that it will get to a point when someone that you've employed continues to harass you, Oga, I want to do this.
So
what do you think? It will chase you away. It will chase you away. That is the thing.
See, my point is this.
All right.
We must admit that the way our security architecture is designed in this country, is such that we can't run away from the fact that the president seems to have this domineering control. We must acknowledge that. The second leg to the matter is this.
When you say domineering control, you need to break that down.
Yeah, what I mean is, we have history of security officers or officials taking instructions. And so many examples to cite. I don't want us to go back.
Every instruction.
Juliet, my point is this. See, my point is this.
All right.
Whether you want to take it as a reality or as a matter of perception, it's there that these officials, very sensitive officials, appear to take instructions from Mr. President. Now, if a man makes a mistake, if a man makes a mistake once,
take instructions from him, but not every instruction. That is the point that we are making.
No, I agree to some extent.
So if something as little as this will go to the president to clear with him,
if a man makes
to
a mistake
arrest
once,
a suspect,
if a man makes a mistake once, makes a mistake a second time, then his competence is called to question. That's my concern here. And if Mr. President wants to do the right thing, he should kick him out. If he's not delivering on his expectations.
Point made. Now, one question on the lips of many is, why is the Inspector General so proactive in this case when compared to Kemi Adeosun's? Why didn't he go out all out as he is going all out?
That's the argument of the PDP spokesman, that there are people in the administration who also do not have certificates. They even mentioned Okonobla, that WAEC came out to say, look, Okonobla's certificate
Could you quickly hold the thought? We have Halidu on the line from Kogi. Go ahead with your contribution quickly, please.
Hello. Hello.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your contribution, Halidu. We can hear you.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
You guys are doing very well. I want to particularly, Mr. Jide, Jide, sometimes when you talk like a prophet. Because when you talk sometimes, you talk like a prophet. You see that man there who is trying to argue with you. You are saying the truth. The whole truth, but nothing but truth. This man there, they are the type that mislead Mr. President. What IG did is bad. And what you are saying about the IG is a very straightforward. If IG respects Mr. President very well, he couldn't have been taking decision on his own.
All right, thank you, Halidu, for your contribution. Go ahead, Chidi.
Okay.
So the point that I'm making is the PDP spokesman said there are other people, even in this administration, who do not have certificates. Why didn't he show the same urgency to go after them? And then he mentioned Kemi Adeosun, who in any case has left Nigeria. Okay. So there is no way that she can be brought to justice at this point. So in my view is, yes, go after suspected criminals. Put them on trial. We want to see our justice system serve justice to people who do not think highly of our laws, who think that they can routinely break our laws. But you also must be mindful of the need to maintain public peace. If you lock a man away, you are here all along. Even before, I'm telling you, I knew about this matter a long time ago. If I say that I didn't know about this matter for which they are just inviting him, honestly, I'll be lying, and God is watching me. So how much more of the people in the security services? So even before the primaries, the public could have picked him, or picked him shortly after that. It has not even reached the level of the courts, because if it had reached the level of the courts, they would not be telling him to come and talk. Maybe they summoned him to come and talk. So the thing is, they should have chosen the right time to do this, and nobody will raise an eyebrow. But it will appear that, oh, they are trying to give undue advantage to the APC. And you see, the president, no matter what you say about him, for those who hate the president, one thing is that if he sees that this is not good enough, he will not permit you to do it. He would not permit you to do it, and that's what has happened. Some other president would probably have sacked this IG when he decided to do what he did in Anambra, but still gave him another chance. And I know that it's probably just how much longer does he have? Let us leave him, you know. But the police have the potential to embarrass the entire country if care is not taken. These police, they have the potential to embarrass the whole country. And as the president, the buck stops at his table. So he took the decision, and he took the right decision. No, you can't do it now. I'm not saying don't do it. I've heard the police say, oh, the president stopping does not exonerate. We all know. What he's saying is do it after the election. Yeah. Because if you take him away now and they lose, the PDP will say it's because they locked up their candidate.
Yeah. Right.
So let the election take place. If it pleases the voters, they can vote for Ajobi away. If it doesn't please them, they can choose to vote for Yetola or any other candidate, or maybe Adeoti. So, but let us have peace. We don't want a resort of violence.
Majid, quickly, your final words before we move on.
Yeah, yes, I think I agree with Jide on this matter. The police should be very cautious. I mean, like he said, I mean, our security agencies need to get their acts right. The same way the DSS countered the presidency in the issue of Magu. That's why Magu is still acting today. And it's the same organization.
Because they don't work together. Does he, the current IG, what's the synergy that exists between him and the minister that supervises him? Right. That is Dambaza. What synergy? They were complaining the other day that he doesn't even attend police service commission meetings.
Too many mistakes on the part of the IG. It's time for him to go.
All right, now when we return, Rotimi Amechi, Senator Abe continue war of words as Abe says God, not Amechi, will decide Rivers' next governor. Stay with us. Well, it took years to build the Titanic, but it took only a clash with an iceberg for the iconic and gigantic ship to sink into oblivion. The ground is being set for a titanic political battle in Nigeria's oil-rich state of Rivers. The war of words between two erstwhile political allies, former Governor Rotimi Amechi and the senator representing Rivers Southeast Magnus Abe, rages on. How and when it ends, no one can say. This borders on who will govern the state beyond 2019. The latest tantrum was thrown by Senator Abe, who said only God, not Amechi, will decide who will be governor in 2019. And he goes on to say that he is fighting for his rights, Jide.
Yeah, the reason for the conflict is simple. Amechi and Magnus Abe have been friends for more than 20 years. And their friendship became stronger when they got into the House of Assembly. Amechi was the Speaker, and Magnus Abe was the Majority Leader. The bond became even stronger, and when Amechi became governor, he made Magnus Abe his SSG. He didn't stop at that. He got Magnus Abe into the Senate by endorsement, not by direct primaries that Magnus Abe is asking for at this time. And then he did his first term. In 2015, he got Amechi's nod to go back to the Senate. Remember, they had this long-standing litigation over the senatorial election in Rivers State. And Amechi underwrote the legal expenses. So there's no doubt that both men have been very, very good friends. In fact, Abe is known to have told people that he is Amechi's greatest political investment because he has seen himself grow under Amechi's wings. But Amechi decided that power should go to the riverine areas rather than upland. But then that is in conflict with Magnus Abe's ambition.
Is that why he's saying he's fighting for his rights?
He wants, as far as he is concerned, you know, naturally, someone like Rotimi Amechi, who comes from the most dominant ethnic group, the Ikweres, they have more local governments than any ethnic group in Rivers State, and they determine who wins election in Rivers State. So for Amechi to have ditched his own people and said, look, let's have power shift. These people in the riverine areas, they deserve to produce the governor so that power can go around. Yeah. You know, and everyone will feel that, yes, this state belongs to us. He's looking for a way to unite the people, you know, behind his own party. But it didn't work because PDP presented Wike, who is from Amechi's ethnic stock. And at the end of the day, with their overwhelming majority, Wike won the election. But Magnus Abe, many people felt that given the closeness of Magnus Abe to Amechi, that Amechi would have settled for Magnus Abe. Until today, Abe still wants to be governor. And Amechi has not changed his mind. He still doesn't think that this should go to Magnus. And Amechi will do whatever it takes to ensure that Magnus does not get it. There is already a line drawn in the sand by both men. So that was why the Magnus's supporters, they always abuse Amechi and all that. And Amechi, the other day said, look, I'm not, when he said, when Magnus addressed him as his leader, he said, I'm not your leader. Why? Because he thinks that Magnus should be able to check his supporters who have made a career out of insulting him and all that. But in my view, if they want, anyone in Rivers State who belongs to the APC will tell you that the conflict between these two men is a big distraction to the party. It's bringing the party down. Not only is it bringing the party down, the violence is is precipitating violence in Rivers State. So whatever the APC leadership from Abuja can do to accommodate the bloated egos of both men, to accommodate their ambitions, just so that there will be peace and their party will become stronger. They just need to do it, because the point where they are now, battle line is drawn, and nobody wants to yield any position.
That's my question to you now, Mujib. The battle line has been drawn, like Jide has said, but then the interest of the party should overrule every other interest, so to speak. Is there much the National Working Committee can do to ensure that this battle line that has been drawn, well, Seamers and everybody, you know, work together for the interest of the party?
Yeah, the Oshomole-led leadership of APC now, I mean, seems more capable and than what we used to have under Oyegun, and I think I can say that. So I believe that Oshomole has the capacity to bring these two warring, quote unquote, parties together. I think what I should add to what Jide said initially is the fact that Magnus Abe still believes that it stood a better chance in 2015 when Amechi supported Dakuku Peter side for the governorship seat, and he never forgave Amechi for that. And you know, at a point, Amechi said that at times it felt probably Magnus Abe is getting support from Wike to undermine the party, because Wike is a formidable force in Rivers politics. I mean, he has been able to hold the PDP together there. So you can't afford to fight that kind of person with a divided party. I mean, it's like the way Fayose held PDP in Ekiti. I mean, if APC in Ekiti had gone to battle, with a fractured house, with a divided house. It would have been difficult. The same thing is happening in Osun now. I mean, it's going to be like a 4-horse race where splinter groups from within APC have formed another party and they're waxing stronger. So it makes the battle difficult. So that's why they should try as much as possible before it degenerates into something that, I mean, they will now go to either a direct primary or is it consensus or indirect, and somebody will emerge and the other party will be aggrieved. So they can't afford to go to the general elections in 2019 with a divided house. Magnus Abbey has his own supporters, but then I think they should all agree that, I mean, Amaechi is the leader of that party, especially being the minister. I mean, the minister is the highest ranking officer in APC from Rivers. And apart from that, he's been a governor, and he was the one that led them to APC. So I think they should bury their ego and personal ambition and think of the interest, the general interest of the party and the people of the state by going to that election as a single entity and not a fractured one.
I come to you, Sam. We have Sunday on the line calling from Taraba. Go ahead with your contribution, Sunday.
Hello?
Sunday, are you there?
Yeah. Good evening, ma.
Good evening. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening, Mr. Babajide.
I greet you.
Yeah, and the other neighbors there. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I want to contribute based on Mr. Teleke issues in Osun State. And the truth is that the IG of police, based on what Babajide just said, he has been embarrassing this administration. If you look at what Kivu said on that case of Obra, why came out publicly and said what Mr. Obra is parading is fake. And up to now, the police have not even gone for Mr. Obra. Mr. Obra is still in that position up to today. Nothing. And look at what is happening in Adeleke case. Just few, because I heard about this case June or July. And they could not even do anything. So the last point of election is about 72 hours from now, which is on Saturday, and you are invited the man, which is not even good. I don't even belong to any party, let me say APC or PDP. And what Mr. President has done, he has shown that he has no hidden agenda concerning this Osun election.
All right. Sunday, thank you for your contribution. Well, Sam, when you look at Senator Magnus Abbey's statement saying only God can decide who becomes governor in Rivers State, what do you make of that statement? What do you think he's saying? Is he trying to pose a pointer that, look, Rotimi Amaechi, you cannot decide my fate?
What we're experiencing in Rivers State is typical of the Godfather syndrome. And that's why he made that, snide reference to, you're not my God. Only God can, tell who the next governor will be. It's very typical of the Godfather syndrome. From Lagos to Ogun, to Imo, Kano, Kaduna, Adamawa, across the length and breadth of this country, you find that men, and sometimes, in very few cases, women, who consider themselves leaders, decide who should get what, or who should be where. By their nature and character, Godfathers want to be in total control. And I also believe very strongly that Amaechi sees himself as a leader and should be so, respected. And that is why when Abbey, called him my leader, he said, no, you can't, I can't be your leader. Let me quote Amaechi. He says, quote, "It's cheap and indeed shameful political sophistry for Abbey to stand in the APC secretariat and decisively say I'm his leader, while all he has done both privately and publicly in recent times is to undermine me, the APC, and desecrate the APC in Rivers State. As a matter of fact, it is indeed very doubtful if Senator Abe is still in the APC. And he goes on. But again, what I see is so much bitterness, bile. And sometimes when you look very critically at the utterances of our politicians, you smell hate speech. And like Jide said, it's capable of instigating violence in our society. And that is why we can only plead with them, politicians, wherever they are, that in playing this game, they should be mindful not to create situations that can throw all of us into a very big mess or a mighty societal disorder. So, Abe is right. I mean, we can only pretend to play God. Nobody is God. So, if you permit, Abe could be right in saying that only God could tell who the next governor will be, and not Amechi.
So do you see any hope in sight of them coming together, saying that, like I asked earlier, the party's interest is at stake if they still remain divided?
Knowing the way Godfathers operate, I don't see an Amechi shifting ground. I've observed him play politics over time.
All right.
I don't see him shifting ground. I think they're all going to dig into their positions. Abe is hungry to be governor. And you have an Amechi who has come out to say, no, it's no longer a Peter side. Now it's going to be Tony Eko. I mean, that's the news out there. Right. So you see, it's a complex situation, and I don't think any of them is going to shift ground. They want to sort these things out.
Quickly before I move on, Jide, do you share the same view? You don't see anybody shifting grounds?
I don't see that.
Well,
the leadership of the party needs to work extra hard. You see, politicians will sometimes pretend that the dispute has been resolved, that it's all over. And on election day, they will go and work against the candidacy of that fellow who has a quarrel with them. So I don't... Magnus wants to be governor, and I don't think Amici wants to see that happen. So.
All right, Mojid, I should have come to you, but we are running out of time, so I need to quickly move to our next topic. The impasse over a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers is becoming more intractable, and a serious crisis looms while the federal government is still foot-dragging over implementation of a new wage. The organized labor insists on the September commencement date. Government has also set up a four-man subcommittee to look into the financial implication of the new minimum wage. But the organized labor has vowed to go on strike after expiration of its 14-day ultimatum. After the National Executive Council meeting in Abuja on Wednesday, President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Ayuba Waba, said workers will commence a nationwide strike to force government to begin implementation of a new national minimum wage. But what is the way out of the imbroglios, gentlemen? I'll start with you, Mujid. What is the way out? We keep having this issue of organized labor having to go on strike, saying they want to make their voices heard. But then this minimum wage issue has been on for some time now. They were seeming to come to an agreement, and suddenly everything fizzled away. What really is the issue?
Yes, if you follow closely, while Ayuba Waba left, led NLC would want to impress the labor force that is in charge by taking their fight to the federal government. The question is it feasible for us to have, is it 56,000? At the time they were asking for 56,000. At the time they moved it up to 65,000. Now,
because the rival union was asking for 90.
For 90 something. Yes. So now, the organized private sector, those are the likes of UAC, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, and what have you. I mean, came from 46,000 to 25,000 naira minimum wage. That is what is practicable. And now Ngige is telling NLC and TUC that, please, guys, it's not as if we don't want to increase this thing to 56, but then look at what OPS is bringing. This is what is reasonable. This is what can be accommodated within the means, but I don't think they want to listen to that. So now, even at 18,000 minimum wage, we know how many states of the Federation are owing salaries. And
some can't even pay that minimum wage.
So some cannot even pay the 18,000, in as much as it is desirable for workers to have more money. Look at Osun State, the Paris Club reform that they got. Everything plus an additional 3 billion went into the payment of salaries. I mean, except
Benue, the Paris Club, 80% is going to payment
the salary. So, and you know, are we going to be paying just salaries alone? It is only, if you look at internal generated revenue, it's only Lagos, Ogun, Rivers, Kano, and probably to some extent Oyo State that can stand on their own in terms of payment of salaries. A state that generates 600 million per month.
I don't even think Oyo can stand on this.
Yeah, with a wage bill of about 3
It also got bailout the last time.
Yeah, so I think the NLC should allow reason to prevail by, not asking for fine, we will say even the 56,000 they are asking for, can it even take them home? But then what is realistic is the fact that even at 18,000, states are fine. At a point, even the federal government,
if you go on and on along this path, they will think you don't want them to get ahead. Meanwhile, it is a constitutional matter. The Constitution says that after every 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
There must be a new minimum wage.
New minimum wage, but does not necessarily mean it should be increased. The reality of time can actually bring it down.
Yeah, because if you in line with the inflationary trend, do you think that it will come down? It can't come down. It has to go up.
Yes.
Everything has gone up in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Every item that we used to buy, the prices have gone down, gone up. You know, so there is no way. Look at the schools. Look at what the schools are doing to us. If you have a child in school who is going to another class, especially in secondary school, they will almost kill you with school fees because you'll be made to pay double. Yeah. Because it's moving to a senior class. It's terrible. So if you are paying, yes, that's why people say beware of the Ides of September. If you are paying, honestly, if you are paying 180, by the time your child is resuming in September, it could actually go to almost 500 because they will bring in all kinds of items that were not there before. You buy books and then you pay double the school fees. Many workers cannot afford this. And that's why there's so much corruption. You go to Abuja, all those workers are living above their means. Most of them are living above their means. People can't survive on this kind of wage. The salary that are paid, people can't survive on it. It's extremely difficult, except if you are living in the rural areas where food is cheap. No food is cheap. But in urban centers, you want workers to remain on this kind of wage? It's not sustainable. So, but I think the anger of the NLC is the unilateral adjournment of the talks.
Yes.
Let the talks continue. If they can see clearly that government will not back down, that this is what government thinks it can pay, there will be negotiation. In the past, we've had attempts to increase fuel prices, and Labour will say no, you cannot increase at all. But at the end of the day, they will come to a meeting point. That increment will still happen, but at least Labour will be able to shave a little off it. So that is the thing. The talks should continue. Don't adjourn the talks.
Quickly, Sam, your take on this matter, because what do you think should be the resolution right now? Quickly, because we need to move on.
Well, I think the strike that has been threatened is a legitimate tool. When you're talking about negotiations between workers and the employers. Like Jide said, the talks have to continue. The issue here is about sincerity. A new minimum wage was due in 2016, and then talks the talks started. By 2017, the tripartite committee was inaugurated, and no meaningful discussions went on until March 2018. And promises were made that by September this year, workers were going to see, and you need, like he said, is a constitutional matter. By the time you're done with the talks, you will have to go back to the economic management team, submit it, and then these things will be reappraised, and an act of parliament,
maybe
put in
after
place.
the elections.
Do you understand? So chances that workers are going to see any form of increase in their salaries this year is pretty very slim.
Maybe after the election.
Yeah, but the talks have to go on.
Okay, talks have to go on now. The late American entrepreneur and film producer Walt Disney once said, quote, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them," end quote. The government of President Muhammadu Buhari had dreamt of giving Nigeria a new national carrier in the mold of the defunct Nigerian Airways. But after the unveiling of the proposed Nigeria Air on July the 18th by Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika in London, it seems the courage to push it to reality was lacking. The same Sirika has announced its indefinite suspension 2 months to its due takeoff in December. Let us hear the bombshell from the minister himself.
Federal government of Nigeria has taken decision to suspend the national carrier project, for some strategic reason. And would advise you in due course. It has nothing to do with the pressure from stakeholders, because that we have explained as a government that for 40 years, since 1978 to 1980, one decision was made to liberalize the sector. We saw the coming of Cabo and Okada, Kwalkwal, Harako, Hako, Holtrade, ADC, Bellevue, name it. We've seen their coming and we've seen their exits. And right now we've got Medview, we've got Airpeace, we've got Omniblue, we've got ARIC, we've got all of these people with permission to go international. We've given them Guangzhou, we've given them Dubai, we've given them London, we've given them South Africa, we've given them everywhere. But of course, none of them is meeting the need by Nigerian people to have a robust national carrier.
Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika there telling us about the suspension of the Nigeria Air. Now, although some say that you cannot suspend what had not really taken off, but another thing on the lips of some section of Nigerians is that it was an honorable decision instead of being deceived that this was going to take off in the first place. But for you, what do you make of the statement by the minister?
I don't want to talk about the statement of the minister because I've never taken his statement seriously. But I want to cast your mind back to what President Buhari said in that famous interview with TVC in Katsina. He said he was not interested in a national carrier, that he would rather do his best to revive the railways because of the capacity of the railways to move people. And he's saying, look, the airline thing is an elite thing. How many people transit via the airlines? That he would rather want to work on giving Nigeria an effective railway system, because the railways still remains the biggest means of moving people and goods. It still remains the biggest. So now, when I heard about this Nigeria Air thing, I just felt, what is this? There are some people who want to scam us again. Because what are we talking about? A country that is heavily indebted. The debt stock of our country is mounting every day. People will tell you that it's not a big deal. They will say, oh, the debt to GDP ratio is not a big deal. You can't compare the debt to GDP ratio of America or Japan with that of Nigeria. Because in terms of revenue, we are not doing so well. We are not doing so well. What are we exporting? So in this situation now, we were planning to inject some funds, to take care of the preliminary takeoff of this airline. And we don't have money. So why should we put public funds, no matter how little, into this project? So if we say, okay, we want a national airline, let it be driven by the private sector. Let investors come in and do it. But to sink public funds into this project will have been a kind of
we have already sunk 1.5 billion naira already to this project, and people are saying, what happens to that money, Majid?
No, the thing is that I think it was a good decision by the Buhari-led administration to suspend that, I call it a white elephant project. I mean, I'm surprised that Adis Rika, who is an aviator himself, could even a pilot could come up with such an idea. Launching of a national carrier goes beyond logo launch, and the thing of the thing.
He said 5 new aircraft will be delivered. On December 19.
How is it going to do that?
By who?
It's not a tea party. I mean, it goes beyond. Instead of, I mean, you have Arik that is in receivership. You can discuss with AMCON and start with that rather than going for whatever they call the name.
They have plenty of aircraft.
They have plenty of aircraft. I mean, you are starting afresh. What happened to Nigeria Airways? Even the workers, the former employees of they are still
they've not been paid.
They've not been paid. And the moment you
Adeosun came out to say no, the money has not been released.
That is it. So, I mean, I don't know the enthusiasm, the kind of enthusiasm he had by going to launch the logo.
A bloody waste of public funds.
In London. And I think it's a
so how many airlines are we even going to manage? We have, what's the other one? There is Arik. There is this one that the Hebrews.
Aero contractors.
At this point.
They are under the federal government. You can, they are under AMCON, under the civil. You can mark the two and start off as Air Nigeria.
When Jide spoke, he came short of, saying, could this be a scam? And that's where I like to come from. It's indeed a very relevant question. Could this have been a scam? But I think we need to go back a little. In July, the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission issued what it called an outline business case certificate of compliance, which, in a layman term, is like a business plan. This your business plan is okay.
You are free.
Yeah, you're free
to
go ahead and execute this project. So, is this a scam? The question is, how come this business plan failed at the point where the Oshibajo-led economic management team said, no, you can't do this, because what you're proposing suggests that our government needs to raise money.
Yes, that's the thing.
To be able to execute this project. So, we were told the preliminary cost was going to come to about 8.8, and then take off, and then take off cost $300 million. And the impression created is that this money is going to come from the outside, which apparently, at the point where the economic management team was considering, taking a deeper look or a more critical look of this so-called, business case certificate, it became very clear that it was indeed the responsibility of the Nigerian government
to provide
the seed funds. And no provisions have been made in the budget for this. Yeah. Where will the $300 million come from?
When we are busy running up and down looking for loans.
It means that the government has to go to borrow money. And that is going to increase our debt stock. So the issue of scam, we need to look at it very closely. And it wouldn't be the first time.
Let me tell you what one governor told me in 2006. One governor from the Southeast. He said, it's so easy to make someone a billionaire in Nigeria. Absolutely. At little cost. He said, you will just imagine a project that you have no plan to execute. You now tell your friend, go and do feasibility study on this. The cost of the project you will raise. And then the feasibility study, is mandatorily, he gets 10% of the cost.
Yeah.
10% of the cost of the value of the project. Meanwhile, you have no plan to do the project. So, but it still won't stop you from paying the guy his own money for the feasibility study. That way, you made someone a billionaire without a plan to execute the project.
They would have scammed Nigeria with 300 million.
Yes, that's the idea.
It is commonplace. In fact, in Okoje-Iweala's book, chapter 5, she made reference to a project of this nature, which was brought before former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2014. Same issue, the issue of turning around the naval dockyard in Lagos. And the guys came and said, look, we can get $2 billion from outside this country to turn that place around. By the time it was subjected to serious scrutiny, it turned out that the government was going to be asked to give guarantees for the company to borrow from Nigerian banks. That same amount of money. So we understand these things, and like you said, there are people like this walking the corridors of power, making quick money.
We have to leave the discussion at this point because we have run out of time. I must thank you for your contributions on the program so far. Well, that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on your platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danny Boy. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.